Hey everybody, so Dean back at Sear Performance down at the shop. Want to give you a kind of an intro to the 56 GMC pickup that we have. So we'll go in the back, we'll take a look at it. It's in rough shape, but let's go look at it and see what's going on. So right now it's in the back of the shop, which isn't going to get worked on, but we got two beds, two original beds. One's a Chevy, one's a GMC, but they're both 56, and they're in really bad shape, with a lot of rot and stuff like that on a lot of the panels. But this one here, the front one, is not too bad. It's got a couple of the cross beams are pretty good. I got a couple of them in there. The side panels aren't too bad, but the front and the tailgate are pretty much trashed. The fenders, the side fenders that bolt on to it, are actually, they're not in horrible shape, so we might be able to save those. This bed here, which I believe is the original bed for the truck, it's just got a lot of rot everywhere on the fenders, but I have a plan to use both sets of fenders in a different way to hopefully be able to tuck a nice big tire up inside of here. You see a lot of guys, they take the bed rails and they raise them up, you know, to get tires, and they cut this and they'll do kind of like an inner fender, like a tub inside of there. You know, it's not really the look I want to go for. I kind of want to keep it a nice stock looking bed. So the plan for the fenders is I hopefully it'll work out, but it's pretty neat. Something I seen a while ago on one of the TV shows. I got the original radiator core support, which we're going to do away with that, but we're just keeping it kind of as a template. The hood, which is in really good shape, dirty, but it's in really good shape. There's not a lot of dents and dings in it. There's no real rust or rot on the hood. The body, on the other hand, the cab is got a few of the harder spots, in my opinion. Like this here, this is one of the fender mounts, so you can see it's got a bunch of holes, and then up on the kind of the cowl firewall type area right here, it's got some rust and rot. A couple spots here, not too bad. I don't think it'll be too much to repair it. The firewall needs to get all disassembled and all the little bits and pieces taken off of it, that, you know, all the little nuts and holes and all that. So I think what we're going to do is cut this firewall out, and I've seen a couple of kits that basically they're flat firewall. So instead of putting all the time into filling holes and, you know, messing with this firewall, I think it'd be easier to cut this one out, weld a new one in. And that one will, you know, and then that'll give it a different look. It's a flat, smoother firewall with more of that kind of square box look back there. Give you more room in the engine compartment. I can't really show too much on the inside, but the steps are good on the truck. The back corners of the cab have a little bit of rust spots on them. The windshield was good, and then I cracked it, which, you know, I'm good for stuff like that. But the back window is really good, and it is a big window, so it does wrap around the side. We have both doors, which are in fair shape. They feel like they've got just a ton of Bondo on them. It's really dark back here. So we may skin them, or, you know, get something different. Maybe a whole new door assembly, stuff like that. But the cab is in really good shape considering what it is, what it was. You know, old farm truck, just sat for years and years and years. And it's just got this awesome school bus yellow, what I call school bus yellow, but it's kind of like a county truck work yellow or something like that, whatever. We got the fenders over here. They're in pretty good shape. Obviously the little kind of grill piece that attaches to the rest of the grill and kind of wraps the fender, they're in really bad shape. But I don't plan to use these, or like the big grill on a GMC. If you ever see the front end, doesn't have that nice inset grill like a Chevy. It's kind of these big bars, and I mean, it looks good. You know, if you're going kind of original style, it's not really what we want to go for here. So I'm going to be eliminating these. The inner fender structures are in good shape. So that, you know, I'm happy about that. Hopefully we'll be able to use most of that. But the biggest thing is the frame. The frame was in really bad shape, and the kid that we owned it before me, he was planning on doing like an independent front suspension, so he got like a Heights kit, and then he was going to do whatever in the back end. He started doing the C-notch on the frame, and not that he didn't do a good job or anything like that, but it just never got finished. And the frame was just really, really in bad shape. So I measured everything out, body mount wise, because you can see, well, I don't know if you can. Let me get a light. Let's run over here. We'll grab a light. Shop is a little tight. A couple cars, but the van is all done. We finished that. All right, so where's the light? There's the light right in front of me. So yeah. Ew, that was my toe that just broke, so that's always good when you break your toe walking through your own shop. Grab a different battery. Sorry for the running around. I'll probably edit this part out. Grabbing batteries and running around like a chicken. Alright, so now we got a light. Yeah, there we go. Okay. So on these, the way the steps come down on the side, you can see this is the original, you know, floor pan sits way up here, and then it has this step down that drops, obviously, if it's a step down. So when you look underneath, you see right here, it has this where the frame sits up inside of there, and these are part of the steps, so it drops down on the sides of the frame. It kind of hides the frame, which I kind of like. A lot of rot here. So again, another good reason to replace the firewall. Not a lot in the floor though. There's a couple spots in the back corner, which aren't too bad. But anyways, so if you can kind of see in there, it's kind of hard to see in there, but these kind of go all the way back to the back corner of the cab, which is just kind of it's just where they seam the two panels together, way in the back. And that would be the only issue, but I shouldn't have an issue kind of shaving that section out. So what I did was, a long time ago, I had measured out, we have an older Escalade, and I kind of measured out the frame, and the frame was like the right width, like it would fit under the cab. It'll fit under the bed, but how these frames come up really high, the original frame didn't do that. So my plan for that is to maybe cut the frame if I have to. We'll have to see how it looks or how it fits or whatever first, but my plan is to maybe cut the frame in front of the suspension link, because we are going to do airbags, so the frame will actually end up being a lot lower. Not so much the shape won't change, but possibly cut it in front of the suspension link, the original factory suspension link. And this is another Escalade, a 2003 Escalade chassis. It is two-wheel drive. We were thinking to go four-wheel drive, but they're just too hard to find right now for a fair price. So putting airbags would be real simple. So kind of hopefully keeping that portion of the frame, but if not, cut it here and maybe do you know, a square tube, you know, with a smaller bend, but yet still keeping the fact that the rear end's going to come up. We have to get everything on here first. So that's our first goal. Hopefully, maybe in the next month or so, we plan on getting the cab and setting it up onto the chassis. I still got to strip like the ABS stuff off, and then all these factory body mounts, a lot of them, pretty much all of them, probably have to come off But I plan to kind of set the cab up on top over it, and then take off what I need to take off, and possibly maybe if one or two of them line up in a sense that, like on this back one, you know, they're just bolted to the side rail that runs from the, I guess, the bedside and the floor. There's a little tab right here, and these just kind of bolt straight through it. And then this is your actual frame mount here. So the frame bolts to here. Two bolts here. There's two down there, and then there's two more in the back. And there's one more that ran across here, straight across. There may have been more. There possibly could have been more. It looks like there was more. On the other one, it looks like maybe there was more, maybe not. I'd have to look at a diagram to see exactly, because I know a lot of them are just for the bed panels. These strips that run up and down, you'll see a lot of people do like the chrome or the stainless strip with the wood beds. So we have to look, but we can kind of change those up as we need them, just because they bolt like that. So we have a different, like I said, we have a different idea for the bed, to make it look kind of cool and different. So, you know, with the frame and everything, there's going to be a lot of work to do, but I think this would have been easier than doing the original frame and boxing the whole frame in and make it stiff, and, you know, doing the front suspension, which I don't mind doing them, you know, like I said, on the S10, which is kind of funny. So I hate, on the S10s, I hate the factory front frame rails. They're huge, they're bulky, the A-arms are in the way of everything. So being that I had that front suspension kit and we're changing what we're doing with the 56, those parts were basically all just sitting, and it was pretty much, like I said, like a full Heights kit, a brand off of Heights, kind of like a knockoff. Basically the same exact thing though, but it had the tubular A-arms, upper, lower. It had the buckets, the coil spring buckets. It had the cross member, the power steering, rack and pinion, the spindles, rotors, caliper mounts, calipers, braided brake hoses. I mean, the kid spent a good amount of money on that kit and wanting to put it on. He had started to mock it up on the frame, but he just never got around to it. It's the kid that I got it from, Tanner. He's actually a really cool kid. Him and his dad actually are, if any of you are into airboats, they're actually ox drive gear reduction boxes. They're the owners and manufacturers of that ox drive box, and I didn't know it at the time. I'm not an airboat guy, but the airboat that we turboed, he actually ended up getting an ox drive, and that's how I remembered him, was seeing all the parts and stuff in their shop. And so we got it through him, and he's a good dude. Still stay in contact with him, and he's dying to see this truck. So this is kind of just an intro to the idea of the 56 on a modern frame, you know, modern kind of steering system, brakes, and we're going to get rid of the torsion bars up front, airbags. So that'll be pretty neat, and hopefully get it really low. I'll stick a picture in. I download a bunch of pictures of 56s and what they look like, and you know, to get ideas. I don't want to do a chop top. I like how chop tops look on some things. For me, I'm not a fan of it. So I don't really want to do that. It's a lot of work too. Plus getting somebody to cut the glass and fit the glass and do all that. You know, I like the look of these trucks just how they are, other than when they're rusted and rotted, which this roof is kind of funny. It looks nice and flat on the inside, but then if I were to move my hood, which I can do real quick, hopefully I don't drop the light on my head, there's just a layer of Bondo on that roof panel that is 1/4 inch thick and goes almost as deep as 1/2 inch thick on the other side over there. And it's just massive. So I don't know if that's, you know, something that was done throughout the years, or just to get that kind of rounded shape on the roof. If they did that like from the factory, you know, I'm not really sure on that one. We haven't gotten to stripping it. But like I said, this is just kind of an introduction video to the 56. I'm not going to drag it out, and we're going to do a whole batch of these and kind of get them out in a quick fashion, so that it's something, you know, if you're interested in watching, it'll kind of progress kind of quick as far as watching the videos. So we'll be doing that. But, you know, like I said, this Escalade frame, it's got the stock steering box, the stock stabilizer, all the cross members are there, which on ours I reused that stock transmission cross member, and I had cut it, plated it, and moved it back to 6 1/4 inches, I think it is, or whatever it is, to install a 4L80 on my Escalade. So that I'm going to do the same thing on this one with the 4L80. I have a case here. I have a bunch of 4L80s. It's ridiculous. But I'm thinking to, you know, I'm going to get rid of that torsion bar cross member mount back there. That'll be gone. Those mounts will get cut off. And then the transmission cross member, I think what I want to do is cut the buckets. Maybe cut these buckets off the frame here. On the sides of the frame where the transmission mounts to, right here. Cut these off the frame, and then do a smaller style, like a round tube type of cross member, you know, and I can bend it up and everything, to get rid of that big bulky cross member there. And then again with this one, this is the one that sits, it's on trucks, SUVs. It sits under the oil pan, and it's 4 bolts to take off, which is kind of nice because you can take the oil pan off without picking the motor up and doing all that. You just take that down and bolt the oil pan, and then it comes right out. So again, I'm thinking of maybe doing that in a tubular, maybe like a double tube with a couple little cross tubes, because that is also the pocket for the lower control arm mount. But that's it so far. There's a bucket of wiring harnesses and parts over there. I got another bucket back there that has a bunch of the 56. Like you can see, the steering wheel is there. I mean, there's just a ton of parts in there. We have all the original gauges for it. We're not going to use any of that. I have an 8.8 that I'm debating on using the 8.8. I guess it all kind of depends on what route we want to go with the 56. So we have a couple of options motor wise. I have a Duramax van and I love it. Love the Duramax diesel. You can make a ton of power with them. Torque wise, you can make a ton of torque. Power, you kind of get limited to, you know, fueling, injectors, CP3 pump, and all those things are fairly expensive. But the reliability of that motor, I mean, I have 340,000 miles on that motor, and it's got a pretty radical tune on it for stock injectors, stock pump. And I mean, knock on wood, I cannot praise that motor any more than what it is. It's an 07.5, so it's an LMM Duramax, and I love it. I've never had, knock on wood, major issues with it. I installed a lift pump right after I got it, so you know, to help the CP3 pump and all that. So we're kind of debating doing a Duramax in this, which I think would be really, really cool. But it kind of gives you a limit as budget, gives you a limit as to, you know, how much horsepower do you want to make, until you get into like really, really expensive, you know, doing the bottom end on a Duramax is just it's quite a feat, and I don't know anybody around that does diesel motors locally that builds them and has a good reputation. I'm sure a lot of you know engine shops have gotten a really bad rap lately. I don't know if they've gotten lazy or they just don't take pride in what they do. There's a bunch of good ones out there, no doubt. But I keep finding more and more that guys are coming to me and their engines, the machining was just done wrong on the engine, which is not good. So we're debating. Now I have a 5.3 here. It's complete. And this is out of that Escalade. So it's an 03 5.3. No, it's not a 6-liter. It's a 5.3. They skimped out and didn't go for the option on the 6-liter. But it is a Gen 3 5.3. So it's got the smaller rods, pressed wrist pins, yada yada. Here I have a Gen 4 4.8, which, you know, the world of if you want to call it an LS, it's a Vortec, truck block, whatever, iron block, however you want to call it, LSX. It doesn't matter to me how you call it. But you get a lot of people that debate the 4.8s are better for turbo application because they have a shorter stroke. That's not my specialty. If it's true, great. I have a 4.8. So that's maybe the other option, which is kind of what I'm leaning toward, and I'll explain that in another video why, is I'm leaning toward the 4.8 with the shorter stroke. It'll rev higher, you know, maybe not turbo it right out of the gate, just do one of the big nasty cams in it, you know, make it sound real good, make it a nice cruiser truck. Our goal is to go to Drag Week next year, which we attended day one this year in Virginia, and it was just phenomenal. It was awesome. Great experience, never been before. So once we went, we were hooked. Me and my wife went and we were hooked and said we have to do something. And that's the 56. We have it. We can build it. I know we have the time to do it. So our goal is to get it done. Now, Drag Week is you drive track to track to track. So you got to have a reliable vehicle. You don't want to be, you know, braking every time you run it at track or breaking down when you drive from track to track. So that's kind of my thought on the Duramax. I know it'll be reliable. I know it'll run all day, every day. Like I said, I have it in my van, and knock on wood, it's never given me an issue. But at the same time, I'm one of those that just needs more. And to get more out of that motor, you know, an injection pump, and then, you know, is $1,500, $1,700, $2,000, whatever they cost. They're not super cheap. Then you go to injectors. Again, you know, the price range varies from $1,700 to $5,000 or more just for injectors. You know, and then you're still limited on how far you could push that setup as far as the turbo goes and all of that. So you just, you know, on the diesels, I love them. I really do, and I praise everybody that, you know, makes 800-900 horsepower out of their diesels. It's just an astronomical amount of torque behind that. So ours is more of you know, a budget-minded. You know, we don't want to put $10,000 into a motor. So everybody knows you can do an LS. You can get good rods, good pistons, you know, run a stock crank, and you can make, you know, 1,100-1,200 horse and have a very reliable combo. You know, a decent set of heads, or even stock heads that are ported and polished, work really good. So that's our plan. And I do have one more thing. I do have the tires, the rear tires. I don't like the rims. So I got these. And these are M&H Race Masters. And they are freaking huge. I think they are anyways. I think they're pretty big. Oh, of course, wrong side. They are. I can't see what size they are. Dag nabbit. And they're mounted on some rims. I don't like the rims. Oh, there they are. 390 40 17. That's a big tire. I think that's a big tire. So the tire definitely we want to run because we have 3 of them. The guy I got those from, these are almost brand new. They still have the little tread nipples almost all the way across the tire. You see them right here. There's still the little tread nipples. I don't know if you can see it, but they're still on the tire. Like, these tires are like brand new. Then there's a third one right there in that plastic bag, and that one is a used one. That one tire popped or something like that, so he went and he bought 2 tires and then took that one off, the used one. He only had 4,000 or 5,000 miles on the tire, if even that. I mean, the tire looks just like these. And then these are the rims. These are just the run-of-the-mill American racing. I don't even know, like the torque thrust style, or whatever they're called. It's kind of just a super common top line. I don't know, it says here top line, but the guy told me they're American Racing. Nowhere on the rim does it say American Racing, so it leads me to believe they might not be American Racing rims, but they might be. Who knows? But it's just that same style, that 5-spoke, the raised kind of 5-spoke, that is just so common on every vehicle. And after I got these, and I hate the tires, the way they blew the tire out like this, I absolutely hate it. It's such, and these are good tires too. They are Toyo Proxys T1Rs. Really good tire, and again, they're like brand new tires. But I just don't. Who does this? For these came off of a 34 Dodge car. A beautiful, beautiful hot rod, but I don't know what the thought behind this was getting a tire that doesn't fit the rim. In my opinion, doesn't fit the rim. This is a 235/40/17, and the rim is, I think, it's a 17/9, I think it is. And in my opinion, this tire would have been better on like a 7.5 or an 8-inch rim. Probably more toward the 7.5-inch rim. It would have been better, and you would have been better off with a little more of a wider tire on this one. But it is what it is. The downside is that it is a Mopar lug pattern. So my thought is to sell these rims, but I've tried selling these rims, and because they have such a huge deep offset, nobody wants them. So we might try and use those rims, being that they do have a deep offset. We might not. We might scrap that. But kind of all over the place on this one. But yeah, so my big thing, I want to see the comments. I want you guys to leave comments. Hit the like. Please hit the like. And leave me comments. What setup, man? Do you have a couple suggestions for anything? Throw them in there. Throw a comment in there. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. It helps me out, and it makes me want to do more of these videos. I kind of get a little nervous about doing these videos, but I really want to do more and more of these videos about what we do and stuff. We do a lot of really, really cool things down here at the shop, and we can do a bunch of those videos. So hit the like, hit the subscribe, and the bell to notify you when we put out new videos. And also leave a comment. Duramax, LS, Turbo, let me see what you guys think would be the cooler thing that you don't see that much. And like I said, I'll stick a picture of kind of the look we're going for. Sort of a common look, but it's what I like. It's just what it is. So I appreciate you watching. Stay tuned. There'll be a lot more. Have a good one.